You're listening to Change Your POV Podcast, episode 47. Stop losses happen, things like that. I get it. But generally, you know when you get out, and I know I've got 12 months left. I'm a Combat Arms MLS, have been my entire career. I joined the military right out of high school. I really don't have any other than military. I have really no other skills or experiences. I don't even know really what I want to do. What would you say to me in that case?
Don't get out.
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast, helping you navigate transitions in your life, like entering and exiting college or the military, changing jobs or careers, and providing you with the coaching and mentorship needed to help you advance in your personal or professional life. Sometimes all you need is to change your point of view. Now, here's your host, Eddie Lazary.
Welcome, folks, to Change Your POV Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Lazary, and today we are joined by none other than Mr. Bennett Tanton.
The shit show himself.
The shit show himself. And upon your request, sir, if I remember this correctly,
yes.
last week you wanted to have a continuation episode where we continue to talk on the subject of currently serving military and how to prepare to separate, because at the end of the day, we could break this up into 2 episodes or 100 episodes. You will never run out of
material
to talk about, right? So you wrote down a few things last week that you wanted to kind of cover, and hopefully you still have that list of things.
I do, and they're broken down by like months out.
Oh, good. Okay. Really? You need to get that?
No. Jesus Christ.
You already paid them, right?
Yeah. Shut up, Verizon.
All right. Before we get into this, I would like to say a word to our sponsor. Ready? This episode is brought to you by 7dayresume.com. Have you ever fumbled through creating your own resume only to be left with something that sort of looks like the other examples you searched for on Google, but not really sure how effective it is because you don't even really know what they are looking for? Believe me, folks, I know you've been there. Hell, I've been there too. Then you decide it's not worth taking any chances, so you pay a resume writing company that you find online to write it for you. After a couple $100, and you get it back and you realize, wait a minute, it's not that much better than what I already did myself, and it doesn't really represent who you are very well either. Well, I have good news for you. I have created a tool. It's called 7-Day Resume. You can find it at 7dayresume.com. This is a one-of-a-kind free email training course that will be available starting on June 1st of this year, 2016. All you have to do is go on over to the website, 7dayresume.com, opt in. It's free. And starting on June 1st, I am going to send you one email lesson every day for 7 days. It's going to include a video tutorial along with the transcript of that lesson in a PDF format, as well as some additional swipe files, handouts, worksheets, or anything else that pertains to that particular episode. And I'm going to take you basically from scratch, from ground zero all the way to developing your very own winning recruiter-ready resume, because I was so frustrated. I knew that I could create one myself if I only knew what I was doing, if I only knew what I was looking for, if I understood the elements of a resume and how to write one. And I didn't know any of that. So I was stuck fumbling through it and just kind of copying and pasting other people's stuff that I found on Google, which, by the way, is what a lot of people do. If you don't believe me, go over to 7dayresume.com and watch the video that I have there. And I list out some numbers for you that's very hard to argue with. So starting June 1st, head on over, or you can head on over now and you can sign up now if you want. But starting June 1st, your lessons will be coming out. I've also created a Facebook group page for everyone that's taking the class or the course. You can go on there. It's only for members that are taking the course. But once you have access to it, you've got access to it forever. And you can go on there. You can ask questions, get help. Even if you've completed the course, you can help people that are just starting the course, help them out, answer their questions. It'll be a great time. So A good networking opportunity, good way to learn. My goal in this is to put these resume writing companies out of business. So that's all I have for this sponsor. Again, 7dayresume.com. Back to you, Bennett.
Well, thank you, Eddie. After that fine, eloquent news from our sponsors.
Yes, you're welcome for that.
All right, so here's basically what it breaks down as. Okay, we've got a pre-separation transition checklist. All right. So part of it I had brought up in our the last time we were on, but you got to start at like 18, at least 12 months out, but more like 18 to 12 months out. Okay.
I agree.
And a lot of this depends on path. If you're going to go to school, then you need to basically become a GI Bill and tuition assistance benefit expert and peruse through everything that you can find about the GI Bill, whether you qualify for Montgomery GI Bill or you qualify for the post 9/11 GI Bill or both. Like in my instance, I actually got both. Degree selection and college selection process needs to start out that early. And stuff like that. Like I said in the last podcast, you need to get your online academic skills, or not the online, your DoD skills translated.
Wait, hold on a sec. Was that a freaking bomber that just flew over?
No, it was a truck that drove by.
Okay.
That was really freaking loud. I mean, here where I live, we don't have bombers. We have C-17s and C-5s. They don't really make that much noise, but that was a truck, so I apologize.
All right. No problem. I just wanted
yeah, I know. Hey, I'm hiding from my kids in the garage right now, so, full disclosure.
Amen.
Make an appointment with your transition counselor, your local transition counselor, regardless of whether or not he or she can truly help you. You still need to see him.
Right.
But if you're not planning on school, you need to really begin career exploration.
And this is something that I've actually recommended to somebody, is to go to some job like career fairs and things like that. And somebody said, I think they were stationed at Fort Campbell when I spoke with them, and they said, well, yeah, they've got, because I asked, do you have any career fairs in and around the Fort Campbell area? And he said, yeah. And I said, we'll go to some of those. And he goes, well, that doesn't make any sense because it's for the local businesses in the surrounding area. And when I get out, I'm going to be moving back to, I think it was Pennsylvania or something like that. And I was like, that's fine. I said, it's still worth going if you, in that case, if you are, let's say, at Fort Campbell and you're going to be moving home to Pennsylvania. I get his thinking there, because why go through all that effort and speaking and networking and all that with companies that he has no really potential working for. But what it does do, though, it gives you some experience, pressing the flesh, as we call it, or shaking hands. It gives you an opportunity to try on that suit or whatever, clothing, because obviously if you don't know, folks, yes, you wear a suit to career fairs. That's just what you do. You create your resume, and if you need help with that, I wonder where they can get help with that. But anyway, you bring all that with you, and all it does, if nothing else, it gets you used to talking to other companies. It gets you used to the formalities. They'll ask questions. It'll get you used to the interviewing process. So it's an all-around, it's a good few hours spent. You know what I'm saying? It's generally, most of those career fairs, they don't cost anything. They might have some refreshments, but it's a good time to just get out away from the family and, the guys in the barracks or whatever, and throw on the suit, dust off your resume, get out there and start talking to people. Because when you get back to Pennsylvania and you do go to a career fair that's going to have companies that you're interested in working at, you'll already be kind of prepped for it.
Yes, completely. 12 months out, right? There is pretty much at that point, I think they're pulling TAP workshops already out at 12 months out, but I'm not sure.
I'm not either. I never did TAP.
Yeah. So from what I've heard is you can start attending a tap workshops that far out. Now, depending on where you're living, um, or where you're stationed, or even where you think you want to go to live, sometimes there's places that have local tap workshops. Like I know I have a couple friends that live in Texas, and there's even though they've got your active duty, they like let's say Houston, for example.
Hmm.
Houston has its own tap workshop for Houston,
Mm.
which is a pretty big deal. And I don't know what that's like across the country, and how how many places have that type of thing, but
Hmm.
Texas is quite veteran friendly, so you know.
Right.
Um, Another thing that's always good is especially if you're trying to find a career, is find a mentor
Oh, yes.
and do it as early as you absolutely can. So if you want to be a cop, find a cop that you know what I mean. Because at the end of the day, like I say, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you may find out that you don't want to be a freaking cop. I
Yeah.
wish I had done that because I sure as hell don't want to be a cop. Uh, I did. I thought I did, but I sure as hell didn't end up that way. So
Right.
find a mentor.
Now, so it's easy to say that, right? It's easy to say find a mentor, but oftentimes I get the question, okay, great, I get it. I need a mentor. How? How do I find a mentor? How do I go about that conversation? Do I just walk up to some dude and like, hey, can you be my
Well,
mentor?
use
Like
use
how does that
use
work?
your network. Everyone has a network. Everybody knows somebody that knows somebody. So straight up, I mean, in this day and age, it's kind of like, hey, jump on Facebook. I mean, everyone's got a Facebook account, and if you don't, then I don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what rock. You're like the Geico dudes under the rock because everybody's got some kind of social media reach. Okay,
Yeah.
so put it out in a group that you're a part of. Put it out to your family, friends. There goes another bomber. Um, Put it out that you are in search. This is what you think you want to do, and does anyone know anybody that could possibly I could at least talk to? And when I say mentor, that's a loose term. At the very least, you want to talk to somebody that's in the business, and I would say more than one. It's like a doctor; you want to get a second opinion.
Mm.
So I would say talk to at least two or three, and if you find somebody that you click with, then by all means ask them if they have ever thought about being a mentor to a young guy or gal getting out of the military who wants to do what they do. You know.
Yeah. So, all right. So now let's put. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play part here. So now I'm in the military and I am about 12 months out. I know I'm getting out. Well, at least I know I'm not reenlisting. Okay. So, I'm pretty much secured in the fact that I'm leaving and I've got a tentative ETS date. Now, we all know that can change. Stop losses happen, things like that. I get it. But generally, you know when you get out, and I know I've got 12 months left. I'm a combat arms MLS, have been my entire career. I joined the military right out of high school. I really don't have any other than military. I have really no other skills or experiences. I don't even know really what I want to do. What would you say to me in that case?
Don't get out.
Ah,
I mean, it's not really necessarily the best answer, but I mean, in this day and age, to get out without an idea of what you want to do or to have a plan,
mm-hmm.
um, frankly, is stupid.
Yes. Well, I say I play a part, but not really. That was my story. That's legit. What happened? I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going, what I was going to do. All I knew I was getting out, and I made the decision to get out when I was in Iraq, and I knew that as soon as I got back
Right.
off deployment, I was leaving, and that's what happened. 30 days after I redeployed from Iraq, boom, that was it. I was shown the front gate, and that was it. I was on my way to my life, and I struggled really, really, really bad because I had no plan. I
Yeah.
didn't know what I was
No,
going to do.
piss poor planning.
Yeah,
What
and
is it? What is it? The five P's. Prior planning
piss
prevents piss poor performance.
Yes,
This
prior planning
piss
prevents
poor
piss poor
performance is
performance. Yeah, yeah.
so true, especially in this case. Because if you get out without a plan, dude, I mean, you're just throwing yourself to the wolves.
Well, it's because, and here's the thing, I want to make this very clear. It was because my entire time in the military, it was almost ingrained in me that combat arms MOSs don't have any marketable skills, right? You are trained to kill and blow shit up, and on and on and on. The list of things that we do really well is very deep, but not very marketable for the corporate world. At least that's what I believed, because there was no one else that proved me otherwise. And it wasn't until I got out and I started to realize all of the things that, even though I was combat arms, the things that I did do and did know how to do and was proficient at were very marketable in the corporate world, but I didn't understand that. So that's for a whole nother podcast, a whole nother couple podcasts probably. But it's one of the things that I specialize in and I help people with. And I actually have taught some folks at veteran students at the local universities how to convert military experience into, civilian terminology, or at least language that people in the civilian sector or corporate world will not only understand but find value in, and that's the important piece. And so that's part of finding a mentor, is finding somebody that's no longer in the military. I recommend finding somebody that's been out.
Yes,
Don't
absolutely.
don't ask your squad leader, hey, can you be my mentor? Because your squad leader probably doesn't know much more about getting out than you do if they've never done it. So find somebody that's been out, maybe a veteran that's gone through that is ideal, but somebody that it doesn't have to be a veteran, it could be a civilian, it's fine. But find somebody that is in the area or industry or something, or at least remotely close to what you're interested in. And when you approach that person, say, hey, I need some help trying to convert some of my experience into something that you would find valuable. And so the person might be like, if they're a veteran, they'll be like, oh, I know exactly what we can do, or exactly how you can convert certain things. If they're a civilian, they might need to get to know you a little bit better to be able to understand, oh, well, I understand what you just explained that to me, and let me show you how that applies to a corporate job, or what the corporate America or civilian mind thinks about that. Here's a perfect example. Um, Project management. So PMI, Project Management Institute, right? It's if you're familiar with
Yep.
project management at all. If you read through the PMI guidebook, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes of this page, it's a very fascinating exercise. And I actually did it myself. I think it's pages 5 through 12. You read pages 5 through 12. It doesn't take long. You read through pages 5 through 12, and you ask yourself, what of this can I do, right, with my military experience? And when I first read through it, I'm like, oh man, that there's not a whole lot that I have experience in doing. But then you reread the 5 through 12, and you every time you see the word project, you replace it with the word mission, and it sounds completely different. Here's an example. Project management professional is what the P was is what PMP stands for. So for those of you that are members of the Project Management Institute, are interested in uh, achieving your PMP certificate, which I am, you can read this document. Again, I'll put a link to this in the show notes page, pages 5 through 12. And I'm just going to read you a couple here. Ready? Perform project assessment based upon available information, lessons learned from previous projects, and meetings with relevant stakeholders in order to support the evaluation of the feasibility of the new projects or services within a given assumption and or constraints. Now, does that sound like anything you're qualified to do, Bennett?
Uh,
Like that you have experience
yeah,
doing?
like a lot.
Okay, so let me change the words a little bit and you tell me if it sounds even more like something you could do. So I'm going to swap the words project with the words mission. Ready? Perform mission assessment based upon available information, lessons learned from previous missions, and meetings with relevant stakeholders in order to support the evaluation of the feasibility of new missions or services within the given assumptions and or constraints. See how it
Yeah,
changes?
man, it's awesome.
Because now you understand mission. You understand what a mission means. You've been to mission briefings. You've given mission statements. You understand how to execute a mission. Mission resonates with those in the military. There's another one, real quick. Identify key deliverable. I'm sorry, let me say it again. Identify key deliverables based on the business requirements in order to manage customer expectations and direct the achievement of project goals. Right?
Yeah.
Here's the same thing again with the swap out. Identify key deliverables based on the business requirements in order to manage customer expectations and direct the achievement of mission goals. Okay, so, and I'm going to do one more here just to prove the point. Participate in the development of the project charter by compelling and analyzing gathering information in order to ensure project stakeholders are in agreement on its elements. So now I'm going to convert it. Participate in the development of mission charter by compiling and analyzing gathering information in order to ensure mission stakeholders are in agreement on its elements. So it's just a way to take the corporate language and substitute it with information or language that you're used to within the military, and you'd be surprised what you actually know and have experience in, even as a combat arms MOS individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's just one very quick example, but you could go ahead and try that on your own. And you know what? You know what these could end up becoming? Bullet statements, right?
Absolutely.
You've done some of these things in the military.
course.
You can take them and you can plug them in, tweak them a little bit, and turn them into a bullet statement for your resume. Went down that little rabbit hole, but that's okay.
All right. So another thing that's big, if you're not going back to your home of record, because usually if you are going back to your home of record, you know, either your parents live there or you know the area. You either grew up there, you lived there for quite a while, so you have some kind of idea of where you're going. And it's like Eddie had said in the last side, if he was going back to Nevada, he would have been, probably all set, would have been able to figure out where he wanted to go, yada, 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 right? Mm-hmm. So instead, you went to New Hampshire.
Yep.
So with that being said, you need to do some serious research on like cost of living in your new location and plan accordingly. Like apartments and mortgages, whatever you're gonna do, you know what I mean? And now this is still like 12 months to separation, right?
Right.
So then the next thing you need to do is they do have a lovely thing in the military called house hunting orders.
Oh, so you can go on leave.
So you can actually, and so go see the DoD policy. It is, DoD, Department of Defense instruction. Go to dtic.mil and check out number 1327.06.
What was the first part again? I'm writing this down.
Number 13207.06. Okay. That is
what is it?
The Department of Defense instruction.
Okay.
It's dtic.mil. Okay. Or just go to Google and type in house hunting orders.
Got it.
So it is a DoD policy.
Okay.
All right. And I've actually had friends that did this and it just saves them. I think that you can, to obtain the maximum benefit from the objectives of annual leave programs, commanders and supervisors shall provide service members with the opportunity to take frequent periods of leave, yada, 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 right? But basically it gives you a set block on top of your, or using existing leave to go look for house hunting.
Now, if you don't have any leave, say I've consumed all of my leave, does this afford me additional days, or do I have to have leave in order to use this?
I honestly don't know, and I didn't do enough research on it, so I apologize. But at the end of the day, just go check it out and see what it offers you.
If you're starting 18 months or 12 months out, then you've got enough time to accrue. You don't need to go spend an entire 30 days, looking for a job, but you could definitely make a trip out of it and go, and scheduled around perhaps some future business
Right.
workshops or job fairs or
I
something
mean,
like that.
at
And you
the end of
go
the
up
day,
there.
just go look into it and see what
Yeah,
it is. It's if they might tell you to go pack it in your ass, but at the end of the day, it could help you out. All right.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then we move from there really um, to the like 10 to 7 months out. All right.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing you want to look at is possibly if you're going to school, look at taking some CLEP exams while you're in,
Hmm.
because especially to cover general education stuff. So literally, you can go to the education center. They've got books and books and books on CLEP exams, right? General education
Mm.
CLEP exams.
Yep.
Study the book, take the test, and the next thing you know, you've got college credit on top of
Nice.
what you've already got. All right. So look
Right.
into that. Then you really want to at that point start again. This is your wheelhouse, Eddie. Start drafting your resume and
Mm.
start really getting it together, um, and figuring out what you want to, because by this point you've already figured out what you kind of want to do. So now
Yep.
start drafting your mission specific resume.
Right.
Um, you really need to start looking into healthcare, especially if you have a family, and what
Absolutely.
you're going to do after. I mean, look into the Affordable Care Act. You've got
Even look into unemployment because there may be a gap from the time you get out to the time you start a
right,
job, right? It may.
because with that you are entitled, and that is the word I'm going to use. You are entitled, as long as you're looking for employment, you are entitled up to 26 weeks of unemployment benefits
Yeah.
upon getting out, and that's all municipalities across the country upon
Hmm.
getting out of the service.
Yep. Definitely take advantage of it. But the best thing to do is like Bennett's kind of referring to here is do your reconnaissance. I was recon when I was in the Army. You were recon when you were in the Marine Corps. And guess what, folks? Reconnaissance is huge
Yeah.
from a tactical and strategic point of view. From a military perspective, it's equally as important when you get out into the civilian sector. So do some reconnaissance. Figure out where those offices are located. Maybe you can do some, or at least download some forms you can have pre-filled out, or at least create an account online if that's what most places do these days. So there's a lot of things you can do to kind of prepare so you're not like left with this, all right, day one out of the military, and now you've got a gazillion things you've got to try to start.
Right. And really just throughout this whole process, continuing to try and get your network set up. just
Yes.
just network with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody you can find. So then you move into like the 6 to 4 months, really, and once you found what you think you want to do and whatnot, this is the point. Now you've got your resume made. This is when you start applying for jobs. I mean, you
Yes.
can start applying for jobs earlier, of course, but get that straight if you're going straight into civilian employment. If you're going to school,
Mm-hmm.
really start solidifying to get your GI Bill stuff squared away, get what school you want to go to squared away, take as many CLEP exams as you can. And then another thing, and this is something that is lost on a lot of guys that are active duty right now, guys and gals. If you don't plan on going to school at this point, you really need to consider transferring your post 9/11 GI Bill benefits to your dependents. If you are
Mm.
not going to do it, if you're not going to use it, think about transferring it to your kids at this point.
Now, how much time do you have from the time you get out to make the decision to use it or to
Well, you
transfer it?
can't, it can't be done after you already get out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
So the eligibility, well, and I don't know who understands the eligibility, but if you have at least 6 years of service and your date of election and agrees to serve 4 additional, let's see. So hold on. So you've got to have at least 6 years, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, and you can transfer it to your spouse, one or more of your children or a combination of your spouse and children. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you've got, gosh, what is the one thing? There was one thing and now I can't find it. I didn't write it down.
Well, if you find it, send it to me and I'll add it in the show notes
Yeah,
page of this episode.
because there's it's not as clear cut as it seems, but it's not a difficult procedure either. Okay.
Right.
So you just, the problem is that you just have to realize that you can do it. And that, see, this is the other thing too, is you can't have over like 15 years. I'll send you a thing, Eddie, that you can put in that that explains the whole thing out. Okay.
Right. Got it.
So from that point, you really need to again, because we've all written our will already, you really need to start changing things out. Update your will or any other financial documents, powers of attorney, things like that, because things change while you're in. And you don't, and these are things that we don't really think about. But when we're getting out, of course, things change, right?
Right. Sure. Absolutely.
So go to the local legal assistance office, update your will and like power of attorney, living wills, if you're, that kind of thing, all that type of stuff.
The other thing too that I didn't even consider is when I was in, and it may have been that I lived in Texas. I don't know if it's a military thing or if it was a Texas thing, but while I was in Texas active duty, I didn't have to re-license my driver's license or whatever. There was no expiration date basically on my driver's license.
Right.
And so I basically I had this driver's license the whole time I was in Texas in the Army. And if you were to read the date on my license, it was actually expired, but because of the stipulations, it didn't apply to me. But when I got out, the first time I got pulled over, I got a ticket because the cop, it was a regular police. I was away from the military base. I was no longer in the military. And they're like, why is your driver's license expired? And I'm like, well, I was in the Army and da 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 da. I gave this whole sob story as to why. And he's like, that's great, but are you still in? I'm like, I'm like, no. And he's like,
Jesus.
Then you're just like one of us.
Right. You? Yeah. Holy crap.
So yeah. So I didn't even think about that. So if you've got a license and you haven't, look at it before you get out. If you look at your license, if it's expired, go get renew your license, because once you take off that uniform, those little privileges go away too.
Right. Absolutely. So now we're basically down to like 3 months of separation. And at this point, you've got, your command is going to kind of take over, and they're kind of going to make appointments for you. You know what I mean? For TAPS and any of those mandatory classes, as we like to say, done. Yeah. But one of the last things that really needs to happen, especially if you are, there's two things. All right. Especially if you're married with children, you need to know your options for life insurance. SGLI to VGLI, and review other life insurance options and stuff. That's what I've written down. Yep. Because, it goes away. If you don't lock it up before you get out, your SGLI goes away. That's it.
Yep. Right.
All right. And then the other thing, and this goes kind of along the whole lines of this entire time that you're getting ready to get out, is straight up set yourself up for success financially.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you're financially ready for civilian life, because, a lot of guys have gone a few years without buying, especially if they're younger, have gone a few years without buying their own food on a regular basis. Right. They haven't paid rent. They haven't paid utilities. They haven't done any of this stuff. Okay. So if you're going to get out, you need to walk out of there with as much money as you possibly can.
Yep.
Okay.
And you need to lower your expectations a little bit. What I mean by that is, It's very, those of you that are in, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can drive around to any military installation right now. Granted, I've been out for 12 years, but I guarantee you can drive around to any military installation right now and you'll drive by the most run down apartment building that you're probably paying $300 a month to live in. And it's, you know, it's a soldier living there. And out in the driveway, there's a, you know, an 80 or $90,000 Lexus or
Right.
BMW, or right,
Right.
am I right?
That's absolutely paid for, probably, or maybe,
Well,
maybe it's not,
maybe,
you know. But
but it's the one bill that the soldier has, so you can afford a $800 a month car
right,
payment.
but then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna move to Long Island."
Or just, even if you don't, maybe whatever, but you're going to end up paying for all these other things. So if you live in the barracks and you're driving a very fancy, nice car, you know what? You're not paying for your food. You're not paying for your insurance. You're not paying for your dental. You're not paying for utilities and your gas and your electric and your, you know,
All the
all of
extra
that stuff.
bullshit, the
Right.
real bills.
The real bills. Right. Yeah. So,
Again, just stay in,
yeah,
knock
it's
it off,
just,
and just stay in.
you got to start thinking about that stuff. And if you don't know how much that stuff costs, you need to start asking. You're like, what's the average, you know, what's the average electric bill?
Right.
What's the
And if
average?
you're married, guess what, guys? BAQ goes away.
It does. Yes, it
AQ
does.
goes away. So now let's say you're living out in town. You've got a three, let's say you've got three kids, 3 kids. You've got a 3 bedroom apartment that you're paying $1,000 a month for, but your BAQ is, 1,200 and change or whatever.
Hmm.
And then guess what? You get out. Yeah. All right. So your base salary says that you make, 3,200 a month. But what you don't realize half the time is it's just simple math, but yet it so escapes guys getting
Yeah.
out, is that
Right.
their BAQ added to that paycheck makes them, they're making 50 grand a year.
Right.
But people don't think about that as part of their pay, because they look at their base pay as only being 3,200 a month. And they're like, oh well, I
Yeah.
can afford this on 3,200 a month, but not really.
Right.
So I mean, I've seen it happen so many times in the work that I do. Guys get out and it's like a nightmare, and I don't know how it happens, but yet it does. It's because it's just this, grass is greener on the other side. And what did you say earlier, Eddie? It's like this, just like this delusional kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Just keep in mind that it's there and be ready
Yeah.
for it, because they the real world nickel and dimed you for every freaking thing.
It does.
Oh,
And we said it last episode, and we will absolutely not be, or at least I will not be comfortable unless we echo it in this episode, and that is this, folks: no one owes you shit.
yeah.
Okay, no one
Now you
owes
might
you
you might get
anything.
these discounts and this and that and the other thing, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
No.
It's like a consolation prize, and look at it as such.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to give you a
Yeah.
discount for rent. I can tell you
No.
that. The power company isn't going to give you a discount because you're a veteran.
Right.
This just
Right.
doesn't happen.
Yeah. It might work at
I mean, the cable company
Popeye.
either.
Yeah, Popeye's chicken
Yeah.
and or whatever.
Fucking
That might,
Bojangles, like you might get a free chicken biscuit on
yeah.
freaking Veterans Day.
Yeah, you drive through Sonic and get
And by
yourself
all
a free
means,
snow
take
cone.
advantage of that shit.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I
yeah. But
do.
you're,
I know I
yeah,
do. I eat at Texas Roadhouse every freaking Veterans Day.
Applebee's for me, baby.
Yeah, Applebee's, Veterans. Hey, I'll go to Texas Roadhouse for lunch and Applebee's for dinner, but I'll go to Starbucks in the morning and get my cup of coffee too.
Did you pull your Marine Corps veteran card out for breakfast and your Army veteran
Oh,
card out for
I'll go to
lunch?
IHOP too and get some pancakes. Shit. No, I'm just kidding. But at the end of the day, you could do that. I don't really do it, but I could.
Yeah.
But if you want to put your Veterans Day together that well, then that's some prior planning. But prior plan for your freaking getting out, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. And otherwise, you're gonna get bit in the ass, and then you'll have to come see somebody like me at the VA to bail you out. And I really would rather you, be freaking all set and freaking succeed and freaking do good things.
Amen, brother. So good episode, bro. We're going to wrap it up. Again, we could go on and on and on and on and on. We probably will cover this a few more times in the future because there's so much to talk about, man. And we could really go down. I mean, we can spend an entire hour talking.
Yeah, I mean,
just
you
about
can
the
really
benefits.
you can go down freaking rabbit holes to talk about different assessments and career counseling and just you can go down so many different rabbit holes. But truly, if you want that info, freaking get a hold of me. I'll navigate it with you. I mean, I spent an hour with a veteran today navigating down the options he's got with vocational rehabilitation and that whole thing at the VA today. You know, I mean, there's so many options. Just realize that they're out there and do your research and just don't think, oh, I'm going to get out and I'm going to be a FBI agent, because the shit doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Okay. I promise you it doesn't. I promise you it doesn't. Unless you're special operations, freaking, you know, SEAL, MARSOC, SF ninja, nobody's going to be throwing shit at you for anything.
But even if you are, there's no guarantee.
No, there still isn't. But you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely.
One of those things is like they're getting job offers for certain segments of the government that
right.
You know what I mean? So there you go.
Yeah, so perfect opportunity. If you got questions, you can always head over to Change Your POV Squad. It's a Facebook group. It's a closed group. If you request access, I'll gain you access. Again, it's Change Your POV Squad. You can, myself, Bennett, we're on there. Other people in the community are there. Ask questions, engage, reach out, you know, and people are so willing to help these days. And if people don't have the answers, at least point you in the right direction. Tell you where to go. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Thanks a lot, bro. Appreciate it. And I'll talk at you later. You can catch all of the show notes or everything we talked about in this episode by heading over to changeyourpov.com/episode 47. Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. We have a lot more great content headed your way. You can contact me at eddie@changeyourpov.com or over at the Facebook group page, Change Your POV Squad. And don't forget about the June 1st free email course, 7dayresume.com. Head on over and check it out. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, and I hope this was valuable to you. If it was, I would love some feedback. Head on over to iTunes, leave a review. Let us know that you found this valuable. We would love to help other people do the same. All right, I'll catch you later, Bennett. Have a good one.
You too.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Change Your POV podcast with Eddie Lazary. Check out more content by going to changeyourpov.com. And remember, your ability and willingness to change your point of view will open doors of opportunity.